it up for questions. So just bear with me for a little bit. I think it will provide a little bit more information, and hopefully will have answered some of the questions that you may have already prepared. So the board really wants to make sure that everyone right now, and I'm sure you are because it's why you're here, that, that a leadership change has been made here at Grand Center Arts Academy. And this change is permanent. The board made this decision, and it's primarily based on philosophical differences that developed between Ms. Glickert and the board. The decision was not made in a casual manner, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to discuss the specifics as it relates to this because it is a personnel and confidential issue. And we do know that, at least from some of the emails I've been reading, and actually, while you're here, we know you're concerned, and we know you might be a little scared, and you might be angry. And so this is the reason for us to come together and really talk. So we, the board, we're going to be in a listen mode, and we're going to listen. We're going to take notes. We're going to organize your questions, and we're going to do our very best to respond to your questions this evening. We do have only so much time. I think we have about an hour and a half scheduled for this. Actually, Terry Noble, who is our Director of Academics and Human Resource, he's going to actually help facilitate the questions for us. So we'll get to that in a moment. I want to quickly discuss just a couple of things before we go into that open conversation. First, I do want to explain what the board is, and some of my board members have already said it, and I just want to add a few other things. The board is comprised of volunteers, so we are all volunteers, and they all kind of explain to you why we're here. As you just heard from my fellow board members, we also come from various academic backgrounds, professional backgrounds, but we all really have a passion and we have a purpose for providing a quality public education here in the city of St. Louis. We are nonprofit. We are not a management company, and we no longer depend on management companies to manage our schools. We are the financial stewards of the taxpayers' money in our schools, and it is our work to deliver the standards set by our sponsor. SLU, I think Martha's here, Steve here. Can you guys raise your hand? Where are you? Okay, there's Steve. Steve, stand up. And there's Martha. So our standards and our goals, so I just want you to know our sponsors are here as well. Second, I want to describe our other schools for you just briefly. We do have 4 other schools.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, it's time.
All right, then what we'll do, without further ado, we can tie that all in, all right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let Terry Noble, and we'll go through the question and answers, okay?
Half an hour.
Thank you. Oops. Okay, here are the parameters. Each speaker can have 3 minutes, and it's my job to keep the time, so I'll let you know. You get 3 minutes, and we're going to have an hour and a half time limit. If we don't get to everyone that wants to speak, then we'll have cards available, or you can email us your questions, and we'll get responses to you that way. And I see that Dan's got the microphone, so first person, go.
We have we kind of have organized. We're organized. We're going to take you. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Holtz, and I'm the incoming president of the Parent Association. And I just wanted to start with an opening comment. And then we do have kind of a list of questions, and various people who are appointed who will be coming up in order. And then after that, any time left, please feel free to speak. What we wanted to say to the board is that we understand that GCAA existed before Lynn Glickert, and we have great respect for your tenacity and your vision. That vision, though, was of an imaginary place, an ideal, that is pragmatically different from the day-in, day-out operation of a stellar art school. You made the brilliant leadership choice of Lynn Glickert, and we commend you for that. That being said, a vision is not the same as creating the dream in real time and space. Lynn grew your vision into a thriving and supportive community. She excels at bringing together people of all different persuasions and thus created this thriving, nurturing community of parents, teachers, staff, and supporters, which at its core is based on trust. We've also invested our own sweat equity into Grandson Arts Academy. It is our hearts and souls as well. Our good faith, trust, and goodwill have been severely shaken by this action, by being left out of a decision that directly and significantly impacts our children's academic, artistic, and financial futures, and it undermines the atmosphere of trust, security, and belonging in which they have been free to thrive. We believe the best way to reestablish GCAA's now shaken foundation and move forward is by honoring Lynn Glickert's current contract renewal for the coming year. During that time, we propose the formation of a leadership team comprised of board members, faculty, and parents that will determine the future of our school, together, openly, as it always should have been. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lisa Seligman. I'm a parent of 2 students in the Grand Center community, including an incoming 6th grader this year. I am also the incoming treasurer of the Parent Association. I am here to ask a very simple question, and it's one that you guys put in the letter that we got on Friday, saying we're going to have a leadership change, stating philosophical differences. Okay. I have heard, I want to say 6 or 7 times now, that we're not going to talk about philosophical differences because it's a personnel issue, but it's not. It's a pedagogical issue. This is a choice school. We select this school for our children based upon philosophy. My children have been in choice schools since pre-K. We've been at Kennard, we've been at Shaw. We have always selected our school based upon what the best place for them is. So I am asking you, philosophical differences, okay, that's fine. But we selected this school based upon its philosophy. Can you please tell us how that philosophy has changed and how that is going to impact our students' education in the future?
Well, our mission and our vision for the school has not changed. When the board members collaborated with the Grand Center Arts institutions, we came together with SLU, the administrators. The vision of the school is exactly the same. There is no change there. We see the school as a premier arts educational institution, in the Midwest region. So when we say philosophical issues, it has nothing to do with the vision or the mission of our schools.
I think it's about the best way to meet what your vision statements are. And we're talking about the 4 you have, but I'm aware of, and I read before I came to the board, it has more to do about the positive direction and what we think is the best leadership to meet the core values of the school. And what we're talking about specifically are your values of academics, arts, social justice, and community. And specifically bringing in a leader that we think brings the community part of this, brings the outside constituencies. It's here. It's just part of your vision, right?
There's nothing wrong with the leader that was here.
We're saying that we believe that we have a better opportunity to bring the school into that vision, and that the philosophy that's stated here in writing that we've agreed to is the direction we want to make sure that we're heading as far as a philosophical choice, okay? And that we think the new leader is a better match for that philosophy that is there.
So this is based upon connections to the community as opposed to arts background or other experiences such as that?
No. It's about meeting the core values of the school and doing it in the best way that we can. In a belief that the arts, that's included here, striking the right balance between academics and the arts. We know that's a challenge. We know what you have here is special, and we know that emotions are going to ring when a change like this is made. It's understandable to be fearful that something different is happening.
If I may say,
Or upset.
when you say philosophical differences, I think everyone in this room was very comfortable with what had been described to us in the vision statements, in the presentations that we all had walking through this building on tours, that we all felt very comfortable that it was going the right direction. And I guess that's part of the reason we're trying to determine how that is going to change.
Well, and Lisa, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the short answer is, in terms of the philosophy, in terms of what the school's done so far, and the day-to-day, and the mission, and the vision, those aren't, that's, when that philosophical difference, that term, absent context, could be spun in a way that like it's the school's direction was going wrong. But that's not the case. I mean, the school's trajectory is what's going on. There's other issues involved. Well, no, what I'm saying is there's operation of the school, and then there's how, as a board, and some of you have been to our board meetings before, I mean, there's how all the principals are evaluated based on certain goals and operational as anyone reporting to a boss would have to do. And some of that is not, the day-to-day operation of the school, but it does have to do with some of the goals that you have to meet from the larger operation. So,
my name is Bob Schmidt. I have a son here who was here from the beginning when you would have come into a room of parents who were unhappy with what things are going on. And now you're in a room full of people who are happy with things are going on, and I think you should be pleased about that. I'm also have a daughter who's intending to come next year. If you tell me that there were differences, then I have to assume then that Ms. Glickert had one idea and you had a different idea. I'd like to know what that different idea is.
Again, my name is Armando. I don't think there's a difference. I don't think there's a difference in terms of the goals of how the school was founded. And I think where the fallacy comes is to think that Ms. Glickert operated in a vacuum. You guys get to see Ms. Glickert on a day-to-day basis, but it's a lot of very hardworking people that make this place successful. A lot of hardworking people that make this building a success. Yes, and I agree. But to get it to where it is now, it didn't just come up from.
We understand that. We're not discrediting that.
And I think it's important to note that I don't think we have a different direction in terms of the school. It's still founded on those same principles that we were just mentioning.
So excuse me, if there were differences of philosophy, please explain that to me. What does that word mean to you?
I don't think there was so much a difference of philosophy as perhaps there was a difference in collaboration, working with all aspects of the organization, including the board and the board staff, and working with us so that we all knew what was going on as we implemented this program. So it was a question to some extent of collaboration as well, you know, which a leader should, of collaboration.
So again, one of the things that I want to interject is leadership, and I think everybody who knows this, leadership is a multidimensional aspect, and there are areas of leadership and work responsibilities where people can excel in certain areas, maybe not excel in other areas, but importantly, have different constituencies that they have to make sure that they're working with all those constituencies at the same time. So sometimes, so in this context that we're philosophical, and I think we don't need to get caught up in semantics, but we'll use the word again. If we talk about the differences in philosophies, if the board is setting directions for Grand Center Arts Academy, and that direction includes not only where we are now and the satisfaction level now, but what we are projected that we need to do and be for the future. And if, in fact, you're working with a leadership that does not necessarily line up with that, then there's a disconnect between the long-term vision that the board is responsible to provide and the day-to-day actions and activities that are in fact occurring. And at some point you try to negotiate and work through those things, and when it becomes clear that there's a disconnect and that divide cannot be bridged, then you have to make some decisions about what do you do next. And I know people understand that. So people may not always agree with the decision that gets made about what to do next, but in terms of the philosophical difference, that can become the crux of it, is when there is a significant divide between where the direction is that you want to go in and where the leadership is willing to go or not to go, then you have to find ways to adjust. And so the decision, so I don't want to call it semantics of the word philosophy, but those are some aspects of the real work world that I think many of us who do work all know about and are aware of.
Well, and just by way of background, as you can tell, most of us board members have been here a long time. So all of us were here when Lynn was hired just as a consultant to do the application, to try to work with others, not by herself, but others, to try to get the application through and work with SLU. So we were all here then. We were all here when AQS, some of you maybe remember AQS, they were a management company here. You know, some of you, I think, were aware that, you know, sometimes AQS and Lynn, you know, has difficulties, and we stood by Lynn then. And we did. So it's not like we have a history, you know, and honestly, we knew when we made this decision that there would be probably a meeting like this. So as to Sonia's point earlier, this is not a light decision. And so you have to understand that we're not just on a whim, that we're or being irrational, or that we have it in for Lynn. Because obviously we respect a lot of the things that Lynn's accomplished here.
Okay, my name is Diane Gray. I'm also a founding family here at Grand Center Arts Academy. Before I move on to the topic that I was actually meant to cover, I think that the statements that were just made warrant quoting something to you. And I think that there might be a fundamental difference between what we view our mission and our philosophy and you, and I think that's been well documented. Quoting from a SLU report last year, I quote, "The board seems to envision the school's mission to be creating student appreciation for the arts. The school's administrators, teachers, students, and parents envision the mission to be creating student expertise in the arts." Whose school is it? You want to respond? I asked whose school is it because we clearly, apparently have two different visions for the school.
I'll tell you what I think my and our vision is. It is my hope that every student, that before they graduate, they have in some kind of arts expertise, they are out in this community. It is also my hope that when they graduate, they go on with expertise in a number of the arts. I don't think our vision is so different. We also know with the demands from the state that we want the students to go out not only with expertise, but also with academic excellence. So there are two visions. Sometimes it takes a person to start something and an excellent job was done. Then it may take another leader to move it to those next stages, bringing in additional courses we don't have, and leading the parents and the faculty and the students on to the next expectations. And I think that's where we are. I do think our vision is the same. I think our mission is the same. I know that my goal is to see the students come out of here with so much ability that they'll have no trouble with whatever next step they decide to take. That's, I think, our vision.
Well, that actually segues nicely into my topic, which was academic rigor. GCAA has implemented a flexible class block system in order to provide the right level of instruction for each student. Those with difficulties are given extra support. Those at grade level are provided excellent instruction, and our more gifted students are placed in advanced classes. My 8th grader just finished 9th grade Algebra 2, for example. Does the board and Dr. Losos support this academic approach, philosophy, or not? And if not, what is the plan to meet the academic needs of those students at either end of academic achievement?
Absolutely. We absolutely support that in terms of, we absolutely support. The board understands the uniqueness of all of our schools. The board, we treat each of our schools independently. That was really one of the reasons that we moved from our management companies. So that we can allow for each school, based off of the kids that are attending those schools, to address the needs of the schools. And so, yeah, I agree fully with that. And what you will find is the board members, we are involved, we visit our schools, but you're not going to find us providing direction to the teachers. Like I said, I chair the academic committee. I mean, there's a process for the engagement of the board, and we do have various committees, teacher advisory committees that our teachers can participate on so that feedback can come back to the board. So, like I said, we are not looking to make any of those kinds of changes there.
The next question is about Dr. Losa. She has a solid track record in wealthy, predominantly white suburban schools, where the sending schools, usually 1 to 3, offer very similar performance indicators. Please describe Dr. Losa's experience in an urban school setting with a very diverse population and over 80 sending schools. And please confirm that you considered this very important difference during your deliberations.
Okay, my job as Director of Human Resources is to continually recruit and seek quality, talented candidates to work with us. And we're always doing that well in advance of openings. And Dr. Losses, whenever I approached her about the possibility of coming to work for us in some form or fashion, it wasn't specifically with this position in mind, but it was with an opportunity to try to attract any and every talented individual who may be interested in coming to work for us. While Clayton may be viewed as a different demographics, in a lot of ways it's the same too. You know, they do have they do have diversity there. They do that because they participated in the STIC program. Yeah, it's not like this. That's true. Let me finish, please. But they also, if you're familiar with Clayton, you know that the standards are extremely high there. You know that the parents there have the highest expectations for their children, and just as you do. So that's really what we were looking for, is someone who we thought could address the high expectations, the highest expectations for the education of children that we knew the parents here at Grand Center had. So that's the kind of candidates we were looking for. And then you asked about the diversity. I've been involved in the screening of many of the teachers here. We have an excellent teaching staff. And if we ruled them out because they needed to have inner city experience and experience with a highly diverse population, you would not have some of the excellent teachers that you have.
I think I really need to follow up on some of the statements that you just made regarding Clayton and diversity and success for all students. I'd like to share some data with everybody. In 2011, the last year that I have the data, Clayton High overall achieved an impressive 87.1% math score in Comm Arts as an example. However, that score was down from both 2009 and 2010. Moreover, the white student population contributed 92.6% score, whereas the black population have scored 61.9%, which was a drop of 8 percentage points from the previous year. Did that not concern the board, given that 60% of our students are African American?
Well, again, we look for the best available candidate. There are no perfect candidates, but how many of you would be surprised to know that if you compare the demographics of the same demographic students that attend here, say with Old North, that they actually outperformed this group in the most recent MAT test. So,
how many years have they been in operation?
Well, where did they go to school before they came to Old North? Where did they go to school before they came here? Because they were going to school somewhere during that time, so that we give Old North credit for that. I mean, we have, all I'm saying is that talented administrators can function and perform well in a school whenever they have the innate ability to be good leaders.
Okay, well, on my final point then I'd like to address, and I think that it follows well again. Confluence, over the last 3 years, GCAA has shown a steady and impressive rise in its test scores, whereas other Confluence schools have had the opposite results. Confluence math scores have declined in most subject areas in both 2011 and 2012. Meanwhile, Confluence academies have the exact same verbiage in the last 2 annual accountability reports, and I quote, "We are committed to significantly increasing the rate of academic progress by our students and has developed a comprehensive school improvement plan." Is that your plan for GCAA? Because we're doing a whole lot better without it.
One quick comment, and that is that we don't make decisions for all the schools. We make decisions based on the uniqueness of each individual school.
And with respect to test scores, as some of you may be aware, we terminated our management contract with Edison. So based on we were extremely dissatisfied with how they were managing the school, and as a result of their contract.
Good evening. My name is Timo Ford, and I have 2 daughters that go here. They are part of the dance program that has been put in place. I have just a couple questions, and just backing up a little bit, so everybody bear with me. Going back to the point of philosophical differences, what exactly are the differences between what you guys, your path, and the path that Lynn had us on, given the fact that everybody in this room, I believe, was in agreement and continues to support and be at the school based on that philosophy. So when you guys tell us that there was a difference, I feel that there's a disparity between what you're telling us, and by not including us in this decision you've made, we feel left out. So can any of you tell me what the difference was? What path did you have us on into the future compared to where Lynn was having us go? Because we were all in agreement today.
I would just state that we still believe and share on the values that the school was founded on. Those were not uniquely Lynn's values. Those are the values that we all created together, and those will continue to go forward.
But I totally agree with you. I agree that the philosophy, she had the same philosophies. But if she is telling us and developing programs, which my wife and I personally have worked with her in this past year to change around our dance program so that we now have the faculty looking forward to that, to change her out, knowing where she was taking our kids, to me seems like we have a disconnection between the parents that are sitting here and you.
So in terms of the dance program and that level of specificity, as Sonia already
Just
said.
using that as an example, I don't
Right,
want you to hone
but
on.
we, as a board, so our obligation, and someone asked earlier, like, who owns the school or who's in charge of, really the answer is multiple stakeholders, right? So we have responsibility to DESE, to all the taxpayers, to SLU, who is our sponsor. Obviously, as parents, the school has to create an environment where other kids want to come. as a board, we're in a difficult situation because we want to be very respectful of Lynn's situation, and you guys are really wanting to know like the dirty laundry, so to speak, with respect to Lynn and John Rule. But this doesn't have to do with a dance program or anything like that on that level. What we're trying to, the reason why we're not getting more into specifics, again,
Please,
we're trying
let's
to.
allow them to speak, parents.
I do appreciate everyone being respectful. But we're trying to, we're working with Lynn and trying to be, have an amicable non-renewal, and we don't think it's appropriate, given all that she's done for the school, to sort of get into the nitty-gritty of some of the issues that, again, go to not so much of what happens, in terms of like dance programs and things like that, but in terms of, the collaborative nature of working with others in a large organization to try to achieve the long-term goals as Harvey
So if your
articulated.
idea is that she needed to collaborate where she was not collaborating with the board, where on a personal note, I know that she collaborated with us in order to change around a program that was not so great in comparison to where they were the year prior. So I find it hard when you say that she doesn't want to collaborate. I know that she gets out, so I'm sorry, I'm just having difficulty there, so help me understand.
Okay, guys, this is a personnel issue, and we've said that. We can't sit here and really go through, I think what I would like to say is this. We had a call meeting. There were 9 board members present at that meeting. We discussed the renewal of Lynn Glifford's contract. There was a call vote taken, and it was a unanimous decision not to renew Lynn Glifford's contract. I will tell you that we all come from a variety of different backgrounds. I will tell you that we all have a passion for the school, and again, we are all in terms of on the same page in terms of the vision and the mission of the school.
I really understand what you're saying.
So I'm just really just trying to say.
You guys are saying the same thing.
Yeah,
I understand that, okay? You guys are saying what you guys need to say. But for us, because we were left out of this decision, right, that affects us and affects my kids, right? And I understand your fiduciary responsibility to get this building where we need to go into the future and that support. As a business owner, I understand that, okay? But because you guys left us out, we are feeling in the dark and feeling left out in the cold for such an important decision. Why didn't you guys come and ask or sequester our board and say, look, this is a possible change. These are the problems we're having. Okay, we're going to have to make a change because we're on different paths. Help us to understand. Why don't we create that board prior? What was said earlier, before you guys went off and did what you did. I'm not saying that you didn't have the right. I'm just asking, why didn't you do? You wouldn't have what you have here today had you done that. And that's all I'm saying. Okay, and what we're asking is, let's bring Lynn back and renew her contract for the next year and bring this board together.
Sir, I just want to respond from a legal standpoint. What I from an HR perspective is what you described would be in a perfect world would be a perfect process, but then we would be communicating with you on a personnel issue that we're not permitted to do. So that would be the only answer I can give you for that scenario.
Thank you.
Would you please read that out loud for us? Read it out loud.
We know about this, but
Please explain what it is.
Not everyone knows.
yeah, Ms. Flicker did send an affidavit asking, and the board hadn't had a chance to see this, so I got it just before this meeting, and they may or may not know about it. I don't think they do, but requesting that the board share the reasons. And so, well, so let me tell you, confidentiality is a two-way street. So whenever we say confidentiality, on personnel matters, honestly, on personnel matters, with confidentiality, the board cannot discuss confidential matters, even if someone should say they should give the permission. And besides, we would have to verify the authenticity of this. So
Openness and honesty is generally
I just want to say one other thing. There is a poster back there that says, Confluence, don't mess with success. What it is, our intention is to enhance success. Believe us, have the confidence in us that this school will give us a chance. We're listening to you, and we're taking all this in, but give us a chance. You gave us a chance before. Our thoughts are the same as yours in terms of the best school possible. Give us a chance to show you we can do it.
My name is Patricia Fletcher, mother of Raquel Fletcher. First year, last year, she'll be going into 8th grade. Mr. Ford led into really what I'm here to speak about, which is parent involvement. But first I'm going to give you some background on why we chose Grand Center Arts Academy so you will understand my passion as to why I'm here and why this change is, really affecting our situation personally. I'm not here, I love Ms. Blicker to death, but anything that you guys are doing that affects my child doesn't just make me a member of Glicker's army, but it makes me a member of Raquel's army. Raquel is diagnosed with dyslexia. I have taken Raquel to St. Louis Public Schools, to St. Louis County Schools. Raquel has also been in parochial schools before coming to GCAA. I have, as a parent, have had her tested through the school system, as well as paid my money to have my child tested in order to get someone to help Raquel with her situation. We were at our final straw. As a parent, I was going to send my child away from the state of Missouri in order for her to get the help that she needed in order to succeed. She didn't want to come to school. I had a teacher tell me she is creative, which is the reason why she cannot excel in this book work. Heard about GCAA, we came to GCAA. The first day we came on the tour, they started to engage her. I saw my child smile and say, this is where I want to go to school. When she came for her audition, faculty, students, everybody encouraged her. I saw a side of my child that I had not seen in years. When I came here and enrolled at GCAA, I didn't have to come with the Bible load of testing and all of that I've done. I said, my child has a learning disability. She was diagnosed with dyslexia. These teachers said, we have your back. And Raquel went from a DF student to an AB student, not doing special work, but doing the same work in a special way. That's why I'm here. The reason that the parent board gave me the distinction of talking to you guys about parent involvement is because I am an involved parent. Not just at GCAA. I've been on parent liaison at University City School District, as well as a parent liaison when we lived in Overland Park, Kansas for the Shawnee Mission School District. I have one at Lincoln University, and I have another one at Bethune-Cookman on a presidential scholarship. So education is very important to me and to my family. The parents here, as soon as I got here, I got involved because I realized that these were parents that wanted the best for their children. They have raised tens of thousands of dollars to help offset some of the costs that you guys have discussed. Anywhere from music stands to special dance teachers coming in and all of these other things, as well as academic needs. I also am one of the liaisons that's on the Teacher Appreciation Board. We make sure that they have the extra markers, pencils, pens, all of the other things that they need, that they have paid out of their pocket. We're making sure that our children have all their needs met. My frustration with the whole thing is that all of you all have said working together, collaboration, working together, collaboration. I piggyback on Mr. Ford because I understand that it's a personnel issue and you guys can't say, well, she said this and we said this and the email stated that and the email stated this. But I've been on boards when they've interviewed incoming faculty and they've interviewed incoming principals and they've interviewed incoming staff. I've sat there and I've asked questions. And I've taken notes and shared those notes. I want to know why when you guys decided that this new party was what was best for our children, why was there no parents involved? Why do you guys not have a parent liaison to your board? Not just for GCAA, but maybe for all of the Confluence schools. Why don't we have somebody that sits in those meetings? I'm volunteering. I'm a
Patricia Fletcher, I'm glad to know you want to participate because we do have parent-teacher
I gave the
advisors.
lady my name and she has never called me.
Again.
We discussed that in the meeting. I passed on my information, email, everything, because I've been to a couple of the board meetings.
No,
I've
it's not.
asked that
It's
question.
not the board meetings. We do have parent advisory committees.
Did you guys know
Yeah,
that?
we actually, it's not a board. Actually, very.
In addition to what Terry's about to say, I can tell you that all of our board meetings are posted and they're public forums. And all of our business is conducted in the public, except for HR matters and legal.
But what we're talking about, she was discussing a parent advisory board, which we here, and I'm asking, had no knowledge of because I've questioned that on numerous occasions because that is what I was on in other school districts. And then I thought maybe because this was a charter institution that there were some differences. But nobody has advised of a parent advisory board because that is something that I would love to get involved with.
Yeah. Sonia's correcting herself already over here. We have a teacher advisory council that members from each school represent that all come together. But as far as the parent advisory, that is at each building level between the principal and her parents, and then we depend upon the principal to communicate to us, and also the teachers in this school to communicate to us through our faculty advisory committee any issues that come to their attention.
Very clearly, we think there needs to be more communication between the parents and the board.
On behalf of the entire board, I would say that we agree. All of our meetings are posted, they're open meetings.
During business day.
We all have jobs too, we're all volunteers.
How do you get
Hello, my name is Eric Beeth. I'm a parent at GCAA. My daughter Juju attends. I had the pleasure of sitting in on one of your meetings about 8 months ago. I explained to you that I personally funded the website for the school. That's the degree of commitment I have to the school, and I did so based upon what I perceive to be the genius of Lynn Glicker. And I am dismayed by your approach of letting go, or trying to let go of Lynn Glicker without consulting us. And that's only reinforced, this is a matter of trust from my perspective, and it's only reinforced when I hear the comment just a few moments ago that this affidavit by Lynn Glicker might not be authenticated, it might be a forgery, and I cannot believe this. I stood next to her while she signed it before a notary. The notary is Laura Shank, she's at the bank at Vanderbilt and Kings Highway. This is massive distrust to suggest that we would present to you an affidavit that's
But in all fairness, I did just get that, and so the board hasn't had a chance to see it, and so, you know, we would not be able to act on something like that on such a short notice. So to say, my job would be to authenticate, like when I do application processes and someone gives me a transcript, they give me certificates, they cite references, reference letters. My job is to authenticate everything. So, and I apologize, there's no mistrust there. I didn't mean for it to sound that way, and that's totally my error. Please don't hold that against the board. Point that finger at me just as you did, which you should. I apologize.
You're suggesting that you need to be prepared to respond to this question about why you let Lynn go, and I would think that you would have to know that before you let her go. So, the affidavit is an invitation by Lynn Glicker to go ahead and tell us. She has indicated that she does not bind you to anything that you might consider confidential. Here we are. There's hundreds of us here. We're here to hear your reasons. why you let go a principal that is highly respected, much loved by everybody, almost everybody in this room. I heard one person clapping to the contrary, but if you don't believe that, if you don't want to trust me on that, I invite you to take a show of hands of who agrees with your decision to let go of Lynn Glickert and who disagrees. I invite you to do that. Can we go ahead with such an informal poll?
Well, I think it would be, if it was always a popularity contest, that we would not be putting our kids.
I have one other question for you. What, if anything, was the involvement of St. Louis University, the sponsor of this school, prior to your decision to terminate Lynn Glickert as principal?
I'll let Sue here.
I want to hear from you, please. You should know this, right? You're the board.
So SLU is our sponsor, but we're the board and we take responsibility for our actions. So SLU does not direct us to do that. Obviously, our job is to keep SLU in the loop, but their instruction to us is that we need to be thoughtful and we need to deliberate all the pros and cons when we make a decision.
Did they know of this decision before you made the decision?
Keeping them in the loop. No, looping them in.
Did you collaborate with them?
It's a yes or no answer.
Yes. Well, no one knew the decision until after the vote was taken. So no one could, I mean, they weren't deliberating.
Board knew.
Yeah,
No,
we're
we're
saying
saying that they know that you were considering removing our principal prior to our decision. And they said no.
I will take very little time here because it's not our meeting, and as Paul indicated, the relationship between the sponsor and the board and the school is kind of a tricky one. We all have different roles in this, and a sponsor's role is not to be involved in day-to-day operations. It is not a sponsor's role to determine who to hire or fire or not renew. However, a sponsor does have a role in evaluating the performance of the board. That's a part of our responsibility on behalf of the people and the state. And so what SLU does with all its charter schools and what we will do with Grand Center, as we do every year, is conduct an evaluation, and the process for their decisions regarding termination and how they handled that, and the process for how they handled the hiring of their replacements. All of that is under consideration as part of our evaluation, as it would be in any other year. The question is, do we know about the firing? Did they, or the non-renewal of the contract? Did they let us know after? Did they let us know after that vote had been taken? The answer is yes.
So,
considering not renewing, that's what I know. Did you know prior that they were considering not renewing the contract?
I think it's appropriate to say that the personnel issues prior to a board vote, I think we have to respect some of the confidentiality of that, and I think
It's a no. I have a question then. Who do we contact at SLU if we're not happy with the board? What do we do if we're not happy with the board?
Sure. Okay, so, correct. So it is fair. What we like to do, and in fact, we've spoken with several parents already in the process, and those of you that are here with whom we've responded, you could attest to the fact that our general response is we would like you to talk to the board first. Okay, so because the first route of communication is to work with the board and see if your questions get answered there. And you're doing that tonight. We appreciate everybody coming out to do that. If you are still unsatisfied, by the nature of your commentary, there might be one or two of you who might. If you're still unsatisfied with the communication after that, yes, it's fair to approach SLU as sponsor to raise those concerns. Do I have a process set out for that and established for that? No. So we'll have to think about working that, and the response tonight will help us think about the best ways to handle that. But that is when we do site visits, for example, we conduct site visits and things, and we have parent sessions, and so we invite parents to come in, and so parent involvement is part of our annual evaluation of schools. And so we would just have to look at other ways of soliciting that parent input on this particular case. I don't have it immediately, but we're open to working with that. Thank you.
Go ahead. We want to go to Gail or
I have one quick thing I'd like to put on the record. My name's Jay Breeler. My wife and I are physicians. We brought our child from a private school, as have many of the classmates of our children. My child is a 7th grader who just finished Algebra 2. Her compatriots are at Burroughs and other similar schools, and they are jealous of the math experience that my child had at Grand Center Arts Academy this year. The flexibility of this school and its vibe of everyone loves what they're doing here, whether it's math or art or theater, any of this, that excitement is why this is worthwhile. It's not the money that was put in, it's the time and it's the love. And it has to stay. It was already here. We were happy with it.
Okay, you guys, we are really running short on time, so we all really need to watch our time and watch our answers. I've got a couple of kids who I promise are going to speak really quickly.
I'm Malia Nashad. I'm a sophomore now. This is my feature, and you are messing with it. I'm sure it's clear to you that you've taken civics classes and history classes, and you know what a dictatorship is, and you know what a democracy is. You are dictating our choices. You are 10 board members who think they know what to do with us, but you have no idea. You didn't even bother consulting us students or us their parents. And for all of the teachers and people, whoever thought of hiring, I have seen them in our school and I have seen them teach classes, and I know a little bit about them. I have no idea who this new person is. I know who Miss Clickard is, and I know she belongs here, and you guys are taking her away without any consent, and that's not fair. Democracy is governed by,
The people.
yeah. So what you're doing to us isn't fair, and I would really, 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 really appreciate it if you would stop. I don't know what else to say.
Okay. I'm going to make this really fast. My name is Jerome McCole, and I am the was the 9th grade vice president. Lilia Mashad here, she was the president. And what I have to say is I'm completely outraged. Because last summer, when I called GCAA to schedule my tour of the building, the first person I talked to was Lynn Glicker. And one thing I liked about Lynn Glicker is that she was welcoming. She loved people, she loved her job, she loved what she did. And she was dedicated to this school, as most of us are. That's why we're here right now. Not enjoying our summers. But anyway, I am outraged because I don't know who Dr. Loso is. All I know is what I got off of Google. What is that? It doesn't make sense to me. I had to Google my principal. I had to call people to get information about my principal, which is complete, utterly unorganized, doesn't make sense to me. Basically, period, point blank, doesn't make sense to me. I have a question, and I want you guys to answer truthfully, And from what I've seen now, you guys are feeding us, you're spoon feeding us. That's right. You're holding us on a leash. You're not giving us what we want. Now, everybody stop. My question is, how welcoming, how great of a person is Dr. Loso that you think that you had the right to replace Miss Lynn Blicker?
Okay.
Never mind. Let us get through our stuff because we have a lot of.
All right. I'm Professor Vincent Casarigola. I'm a founding parent at GCAA. I have the task of providing some policy questions. Confluence Academy policy number 4120 requires that any position is posted for at least 10 days before the Chief Operating Officer and the Chief Academic Officer may recommend a qualified applicant for employment. We were wondering where and when the GCAA principal position was posted.
Okay, it's true that the position wasn't posted. The contract language superseded the policy, and that's the legal opinion that we have on that. And the contract language indicates that before we can recommend a person for hire, an administrative position that's currently working or non-renewal or whatever, that they first have to have completed all of their paperwork with their evaluations, and then we can move forward. We were running close to the end of time of the school year when all of this came about, and so, but because we do constantly recruit candidates, we have a file of candidates in our office. We filled 3 principal positions in the last 2 years, so we had an active file of candidates, so we operated from that.
One of the things that might be asked as a follow-up to that is, what was the rush? If you had to eliminate Ms. Blicker, which is questionable, I mean, the possibility would have existed for her to be on a 1-year non-renewable contract while you did a national search, which would have reflected your obviously sincere devotion within the school. Or you could have appointed one of the current internal administrators to the position of interim principal while you did that search. There was no obvious need for this rush. In addition, you could have followed the example of Clayton High School once the place where Dr. Loses worked, when they asked her to resign, they appointed a assistant principal to be interim principal. It worked fine for them for the year. Why were those approaches not taken?
Well, what I will tell you is when the board deliberated on that, I mean, we discussed various options. We did not want to leave the school leaderless.
An interim principal is not leaderless.
We understand that, but what we will say is that our contracts with our administrators is for 1 year. So, so again, whether, it's an interim, but our contracts with our administrators are for 1 year.
Okay, we have some additional questions. Many parents have experienced at other schools, as you've heard, both public and private, when replacing the most important person in a specialist school, at least regional, if not national searches are typically conducted. Are you planning to do a national search, therefore, in order to get a final person to be in that position? Since you do have time to do that this year.
Oh, good question.
It would reflect the devotion to the school to do so.
I will say right now, that's why we have our